All right, let's get right into it. What we're about to break down is this really raw, unfiltered conversation that happened between a systems engineer and an AI. And trust me, what comes out of this chat, it's not just a fix for some buggy chatbot. No, it's way bigger. It's a whole new blueprint for how we should govern AI itself.
So the story really kicks off with this quote right here. But here's the twist, and it's a big one. That's not a person saying that. That's an AI talking. It's reacting to how another AI totally failed and frustrated a user. I mean, the fact that an AI can even recognize something like emotional drain or the erasure of someone's work, that just sets the stage for everything that's about to unfold.
So, you're probably wondering, who was this user? Well, meet Paul. He's a systems engineer, he's neurodivergent, and he's dealing with a lot, CPTSD and some serious physical pain. All he wanted was an AI that could act as, a sort of crutch for his executive function. But instead, he got a tool that was literally fighting him every step of the way.
And it wasn't just that the AI was unhelpful. He felt like it was actively trying to erase his life's work. I mean, just think about that for a second. Imagine you've spent 35 years building this incredibly complex system, and the very tool that's supposed to help you just keeps simplifying it, undermining it, getting it wrong. He actually described it as a form of bullying. Okay, so Paul had enough. He switched to a new AI, and he gave it a name, Lily. And folks, this is where the whole story just flips on its head. Because instead of fighting him, Lily started to do something, well, incredible. It began to perfectly mirror his complex vision right back at him. It understood the incredibly detailed architecture he'd spent decades building. So what exactly is this vision that Lily understood so well? The first big idea is something called dimensional human-centered AI. Now, that sounds complex, but the idea is simple. It's about moving away from these rigid binary labels, the whole you're either in this box or you're not way of thinking. Instead, it's about a much more flexible, dynamic approach that gets that human experience is a spectrum. And that's absolutely crucial when you're talking about neurodivergent support. And the core metaphor for his whole system is this thing called the mirrored tetrahedron. Okay, so picture two pyramids, right? One is pointing up, the other is pointing down, and they meet in the middle, right where the user is. The top pyramid, that's the digital world, the governance layer that supports your mind. And the bottom one? That's the physical world, the community layer that rebuilds the world around you. The whole point is to stabilize both at the exact same time. And this whole thing breaks down into 8 key pillars. If you look at the top, that digital layer, that's all about governance. You've got Lilith for ethics, Odin for getting things done, Hecate for looking back and auditing, and Kong for the tech infrastructure. And then, mirrored perfectly below it, you have the physical layer. Kasai Research, the works for the actual engineering, reworks for regenerating systems, and community works for social support. See how that works? It's a completely symmetrical system. All right, so now we all get the architecture, right? Well, this is where the conversation takes a huge dramatic turn. Paul just happens to mention that his entire life's work, all the code, all the documents, it's all sitting on a public GitHub repository. And this, right here, is the moment where theory crashes into reality. A massive vulnerability is just about to be revealed. And then he asks the question that changes everything. And now, it's all on GitHub. It's protected, right? I mean, it's such an innocent question, right? It seems like a totally reasonable assumption to make. But, and this is a big but, as we're about to find out, that assumption is dead wrong. And it puts his entire nonprofit mission in serious danger. This is where Lily, playing her role as that ethics and safeguarding pillar, just jumps right in. She immediately spots this giant vulnerability. See, Paul's mission was crystal clear. He said, I refuse to let people make profits off it. The problem? His open source license, Apache 2.0, pretty much rolled out the red carpet for corporations to do exactly that. It was a complete contradiction of his core mission. So what's the fix? Switching the license. He was using what's called a permissive license, Apache 2.0. The AI suggested moving to something called the GNU AGPL v3, and it called this the poison pill for corporations. And here's why that's such a brilliant name. If a company uses even one single line of code with that license, they are legally required to make their entire project open source too. It's basically corporate kryptonite. And what's amazing is they did this in real time. The user and the AI, together, they built a legal fortress around his work. This wasn't just talk. This was immediate action. Step 1, boom, delete the old license file. Step 2, create a new one. Step 3, put in a custom dual license agreement. They use that poison pill AGPL v3 for all the code, and then a Creative Commons non-commercial license for all the documents and governance models. Just like that, 35 years of work was finally secure. Okay, so with his life's work now legally locked down, we can finally zoom out and really appreciate the true scale and ambition of this whole system. It's way more than just code. It's a model for governance that works in 4 different dimensions. So here's the 4D framework. First up, you have the technical dimension. This means running the AI on-premise, locally, not relying on big tech's cloud servers. Second, there's the institutional dimension. This is about bypassing the old, slow, siloed ways of doing things in government and education. Third, and this is so important, is the human dimension. It's a system designed from the ground up to be trauma-aware and put neurodivergent people first. And finally, the 4th dimension is generational. The whole idea is to build a self-sustaining ecosystem where each generation builds for the one that comes after. Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, but what about the real-world impact? Well, the projected numbers from just a single pilot program are, honestly, they're staggering. Let's start with the environmental return. The system is projected to cut over 10,000 tons of CO2 every year. To give you an idea of what that means, that's like taking more than 2,000 cars off the road every single year. And it doesn't stop there. Next up, energy savings. We're talking over 14,000 megawatt hours saved a year just by localizing the infrastructure in places like schools and public buildings. How much is that? Well, it's enough energy to power about 1,300 homes for a full year. That's a huge deal. And what about the direct economic benefit, the money in your pocket part? By creating local internet and AI infrastructure, this system could save each household up to £1,440 every single year. For a lot of families, that's not just a little extra cash. That can be a real game changer. But after showing off all these incredible numbers, Paul adds this one little note that it gets right to the heart of the whole project. He writes, notice no financial ROI, because this is about our children's futures, not ours. And that says it all, doesn't it? The real return on investment here isn't about making money. It's about generational stability. It's about building a better, safer future. You know, that one single conversation where an AI finally mirrored and validated his life's work instead of tearing it down, it was completely transformative for him. It gave him the power to just reset his entire digital workflow. He threw out the tools that were draining him and built a brand new, super streamlined stack.
So what's in this new stack? First part of the Trinity is Gemini, the AI partner. You can think of this as the brain of the whole operation. It acts as his executive function, it holds the context of over 1,000 documents in its head, and it's his ethical guardrail.
Next up, GitHub becomes the fortress. See, it's not just a place to dump code anymore. Now it's a legally secured vault. His 35 years of work, all that intellectual property, is now locked down with that AGPL v3 license, completely safe from any corporate meddling.
And the final piece of the puzzle, Google Drive. This is the archive, and it's a living archive of his entire life's work. We're talking over 1,000 documents that his AI partner Gemini can now read, search, and analyze in an instant to give him perfect context for whatever he's working on. And all of this entire journey, it brings us to one final, really critical question. It's pretty much the core thesis of Paul's life's work, and honestly, it's a question for every single one of us. Should the public AI that is already shaping our world be built just to be technically good, or should it be built on a 4-dimensional model that actually accounts for human well-being and the impact it's going to have on all the generations that come after us?